Hey you, yes you. The odds of you not being subscribed to the channel are very high, so if you haven't already, it would mean the world if you'd subscribe if you're new and join the Woods crew to help me go full time. Hope you all enjoy this one. Woods out. I feel like as the years go on, we keep on seeing more and more players with limited time in college either tank in the NBA draft or get boosted up because of it. In recent years, many names who had limited time in college like Bol plummeted in the draft despite the massive amount of potential that they had. I mean, you'd think a team in the first round would at least take a chance on the son of all-time great Manute Bol, but no, instead he fell all the way to the second round where he was traded by the Heat as well. Now I know he was injured, which makes it a bit different, but still a bad move to say the least. But this year in the draft, we saw quite a few players who had limited film to watch have massive draft stock. Mainly LaMelo Ball and the man we will be discussing in today's video, James Wiseman. Now I know that LaMelo Ball played pro for a year, but there were just about as many question marks with him in his game as James Wiseman, who only played 3 collegiate games total. And both these players were in the top 3 of the draft. Just crazy. But that's besides the point, because today we are going to be talking about what we have seen out of James Wiseman so far and why he could potentially be one of the best centers in the league before we know it. But before we get into this video, let me just say I know this is a very small sample size, but I think it is still very fun to evaluate where players and their teams are at, even if we aren't that deep into the season yet. Because let's be honest, you really never know what could happen with the Warriors this year, but we will get into that later in this video. Also, if you enjoy this video, it would be absolutely clutch if you could subscribe if you're new and join the Woods crew and leave a like below, because it really does help out the channel. But with all that being said, let's get right into James Wiseman and what he has shown us so far. It almost seemed like destiny that James Wiseman fell to the second pick for the Warriors, because if we all have to be honest, he is by far the best fit for the Warriors out of all 3 of the top draft picks. And the Warriors haven't really had a star center since their dynasty began. It's always just been the guards. Well, and Kevin Durant. But they were able to snag Wiseman, and that might have just been the best decision in the draft by far this year. But enough of gassing up Wiseman, let's get into the real details. Now, as most of you know, if you are Warriors fans or were just paying attention to the draft at all this year, James Wiseman only played 3 games in college, and definitely had some controversial things going on at the time. Wiseman was only able to play 3 games until news was leaked that Penny Hardaway, who was the coach of Wiseman's college team, the Grizzlies, supposedly paid Wiseman and his family a little over $11,000 to help them move to Memphis. Which, honestly, to me and other NBA fans, it doesn't seem that bad, but if you keep up with college basketball, you know how strict they are with things like this. And they did not have any sympathy for Wiseman and his parents, and they suspended him for 12 games. But before he got suspended, Wiseman went off in his 3 games with Memphis, where he averaged 19.7 points, 10.7 boards, and 3 blocks a game. And that's only in 23 minutes, which is good to say the least. Wiseman also shot a ridiculous 77% from the field, which although it was all from inside the arc, was still elite to say the least. But even though Wiseman only played 3 games, he bet on himself and declared for the NBA draft in the midst of his suspension, which paid off big time. Now that you guys know some of the backstory if you didn't already, let's just dive right into Wiseman's time with the Warriors so far and how impressive it really is. The Warriors have played a solid chunk of games so far along with the rest of the league, and saying that James Wiseman has been killing it is an understatement, because my man is showing flashes of an all-NBA center already, and it's only been a handful of games. So far, Wiseman has averaged 11.7 points, 6.5 boards, and nearly 2 blocks a game, which is definitely solid. But that's not what gives him the potential everyone is talking about. If you take a look at Wiseman's field goal and 3-point percentages, they are what tells the story about his game and potential. Wiseman has shot 44.8% from the field so far, which is very solid, but he also shot 45.5% from the 3, which is absolutely insane for a center. Now I know what many of you guys are about to go down in the comments and say, he's only taken 11 shots from beyond the arc. And I know guys, but like I said, we're just talking about the potential with the sample size we've seen so far. But the fact is, even if his percentage goes down by up to 10% by the end of the year, James Wiseman still has the potential to become the next shooting big man that we all know and love, Karl Anthony Towns. I know that many of you guys probably don't follow Towns too closely, but I am a Timberwolves fan since day one, and I've been watching Cat since he first stepped in the league after getting drafted #1 overall. And in case you didn't know, the past 2 seasons, Karl Anthony Towns has averaged over 40% shooting from the 3, which is absolutely crazy for how much he takes and how much he makes. But surprisingly, it did not start like this for Karl Anthony Towns when he entered the league. When Cat first stepped in the league, he averaged 34% from the 3 his rookie year and 36% the next year until he stepped into his elite 40% club. So the fact is, even if James Wiseman dips down to the 30s for 3-point shooting, there's still no telling what he could become. But if he stays where he's at, even if he increases the volume of 3s he's taking, let's just say the league will be in trouble. We've seen how good Towns can be against other bigs in the league with his perimeter game. One of the best, no doubt in my mind. But there is one thing that Cat lacked that Wiseman has in his bag. That thing being defense. This is a hot take, but let me know what you think in the comments below. But if James Wiseman shoots the 3 in higher volume with the same percent and continues to be solid on defense, he could be better than some of the league's best centers like Karl Anthony Towns. Not only that, but this could happen as soon as the end of this season. I've watched Towns a ton, like I said, and it hurts to see his defense holding back his overall game so much. I want to make it clear though, all love for Cat, one of my favorite players in the league as a T-Wolves fan, and I feel so bad for what he has had to endure in the past year, but that's for another video. Now, if you've just been watching the Warriors highlights and not the full games, you may not have seen how good of a defender Wiseman really is. But just to show you guys I'm not the only one who thinks this, let me just read you what Draymond Green had to say about James Wiseman at the Warriors practice. Because like it or not, Draymond is one of the league's most elite defenders, or at least he was in one point in time. So I think that he knows a good defender when he sees one. Here's what Draymond had to say about Wiseman. Green said he felt good after his first day back at practice with the Dubs, but still needed to get his win back after being out for over a week. The opportunity to work with Wiseman was something that stood out to him most in his first week back on the floor. Quote, "I thought that James was all over the place today, which was great to see. His energy was through the roof, which took him out of positions at times, which I love to see because you can teach positioning, but you can't always teach high energy. He had great energy today, asking a ton of questions, which I always think is great. It seems like he's going to be a sponge. He asks a bunch of questions." If Draymond Green thinks that someone's going to be a good defender, they're going to be a good defender. Enough said. But that is not the only interesting thing that was said that day of practice. Steve Kerr also talked about the chem between Wiseman and Green when he said this. "It was great. Draymond is going to help him dramatically, especially defensively, just with positioning and that sort of thing. It was a perfect snapshot of what we hope to see, what the Warriors fans hope to see, and what might be coming. The defensive synergy between these two and then an offensive connection with that lob. So very exciting to see that happen." Now, when there are multiple players who buy into a team and have the mindset of winning with chemistry, there is no doubt they will go far in the season. We saw it last year with the Heat. All the players were bought into their role and played the best game they could, which led them to the finals. Am I saying the same thing is in the cards for the Warriors this year? No. But Draymond also had something very interesting to say about this season and the fact that we should no longer expect the Warriors to tank even though they had a slow start to the season. "When I don't win a title, that's unsuccessful," Green said. "There's no moral victories. There's no, oh, this is our first year together, or we don't have many stars, or Klay is out. I don't really roll like that. You step on the floor, same 94 feet, 2 baskets, and 1 basketball that everyone else got. We're NBA players, so go out there, compete, try to win, try to compete at the highest level, as high a level as you personally can compete to help the team win. That's what it's all about for me." It's clear that the Warriors are indeed not trying to tank again like they did last year. And I'm not saying it was intentional last year, but it might have been after the injuries. Even though Klay is out, the Warriors could definitely still make a deep playoff run at minimum. Steph Curry and Draymond have proved themselves to be elite players, and I think James Wiseman is right behind them. What it comes down to is 2 of the newer guys, Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins, because they are literally weighing the Warriors down right now with their play. But if they're able to perform at the highest level, you better believe that the Warriors are putting up a fight in the West, but I'm going to save a deep discussion on that for a future video. James Wiseman has definitely been killing it with the Warriors so far, and he can definitely live up to that #2 pick hype if he continues to play like this. Which I really hope he does, because there's nothing better seeing a rookie thrive on the team they're drafted to. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, it would be literally clutch if you could subscribe if you're new and join the Woods crew, as well as leaving a like down below. That's legitimately all it takes for me to go full time. Regardless, I appreciate all you guys still watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Woods out.